My teacher confiscated my insulin pump, so I let him watch me collapse. His name was Mr. Sterling, a man who believed the year 2026 was the beginning of the end for human intelligence. Mr. Sterling was a traditionalist who treated every piece of classroom technology like a personal insult to his teaching career. I am a type 1 diabetic, and I wear a sleek, semi-automated insulin pump on my hip that keeps me alive. It's a modern piece of medical engineering that syncs directly to my neural link to monitor my glucose levels every 60 seconds. Last Friday was the AP chemistry final, a 3-hour exam that accounted for 40% of our total grade. 10 minutes into the test, my pump started to vibrate against my skin, sending a low-priority alert to my vision. My blood sugar was spiking rapidly because of the stress, and the pump was trying to deliver a corrective dose. Mr. Sterling marched over to my desk, his shoes clicking loudly on the sterile floor tiles. "Hand it over, Leo," he whispered, his voice dripping with an arrogance that made my stomach churn. I looked up at him, confused, and pointed to the small device clipped to my belt. "Sir, this is my insulin pump. It's a medical device, not a communication tool." He didn't even look at the medical ID bracelet on my wrist or the glowing blue medical symbol on the pump's casing. "I've seen these smart pods before, Leo. You're not the first student to try and hide a cheating AI in a plastic box. Sir, if I don't have this, my sugar will reach dangerous levels within the hour," I explained, my voice beginning to tremble. He let out a sharp, mocking laugh and reached down, unceremoniously unclipping the pump from my waistband. "You can pick it up from the principal's office after the exam," he said, dropping my life-saving device into a lead-lined anti-cheat bag. I felt a cold wave of panic wash over me as the connection to my neural link severed instantly. I sat there for 30 minutes, trying to focus on the periodic table while my head began to throb with a dull, rhythmic ache. My vision started to blur at the edges, the holographic chemistry equations on my desk beginning to swim and distort. "Mr. Sterling, I'm feeling very dizzy," I managed to say, my voice sounding like it was coming from the end of a long tunnel. He didn't even look up from his desk, where he was busy grading papers with a red laser stylus. "Stop the dramatics, Leo, and finish your exam. You have 2 hours remaining. Diabetic ketoacidosis doesn't happen all at once, but when it hits, it feels like your blood is turning into thick, boiling syrup." My breath started to smell like rotting fruit, a classic sign that my body was beginning to shut down. I raised my hand one last time, but my arm felt like it was made of lead, and I couldn't even keep my head upright. I decided right then that I wasn't going to fight him anymore. If he wanted to ignore a medical emergency in a room filled with 30 witnesses and 4 security cameras, I would let him. I leaned back in my chair, closed my eyes, and let the darkness start to pull at the corners of my mind. The sound of my chair hitting the floor was the last thing I heard before my world went completely black. I woke up 3 hours later in a high-intensity recovery ward, the bright neon lights of the hospital ceiling searing into my retinas. My father was sitting in the chair next to my bed, his face a mask of cold, calculated fury that I had only seen once before. "Don't worry about the school, Leo," he said, his voice sounding like cracking ice. My father is the lead counsel for the Regional Department of Health, and he had already viewed the classroom footage. He told me that when I collapsed, Mr. Sterling didn't even call the nurse for 5 minutes, thinking I was faking it to get out of the test. It wasn't until my skin turned blue and I started seizing that the other students screamed loud enough to bring the campus security. By the time I was discharged the next morning, the school board had already held an emergency session. Mr. Sterling wasn't just fired. He was escorted out of the building in handcuffs for felony medical negligence and child endangerment. Because he placed my pump in a lead-lined bag, the device's internal GPS recorded the exact moment he cut off my line of life. He tried to claim he was protecting the integrity of the test, but the judge didn't care about his traditionalist values. The school settled a massive lawsuit with my father that paid for my entire college tuition and a brand new top-tier medical suite for the campus. I went back to school a week later to retake my exam in the library. My new chemistry teacher is a lovely woman who started the class by asking if anyone had medical devices that needed to be synced to the room's safety hub. I passed the test with a perfect score, but the best part was seeing the empty desk where Mr. Sterling used to sit. Some people think technology is a threat to education, but I think the only real threat is a teacher who values a test score more than a life.